What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Cheap Ludes, and yes, I am finally dropping the squad tip series. So if you guys are not familiar with this series, I take your squads and I give you helpful hints, or at least I try to anyway. Suggest different players, etc. for you. So we're going to start with my man Trent's team right here. We got D'Angelo Russell, Bradley Beal, Quantum KD, Julius Randle, and Cat. Halliburton, Ray Allen, Bruce Bowen, OG, and Powell off the bench. Now, you have 220k. You are going to go for Dark Matter JR, so you're relatively close from what you're saying. So, okay, well, that closes off your point guard. I'm guessing you get rid of D'Lo. I think Halliburton's a little bit better, personally. Just as like a tip in that regard, I would get rid of D'Angelo Russell in that case and keep Halliburton. I think Halliburton's just a little bit better. Now, as far as the starting lineup is totally fine. The one thing I would say, though, is, I mean, it depends how you feel about Cat, but I think that I spelled it wrong, I think. Jaren Jackson Jr., yeah, it was an EN. I think, personally, Jaren Jackson Jr. is a significantly better option over Karl Anthony Towns. That's just me. Now, or Pau Gasol. Like, I think he's actually better than both of those players. Hear me out. A, he's free, so you don't have to worry about like spending a bunch of MT. He's got a better badge count, 93 three-point shot with jump shot 109, which is the same release Mo Bamba has, which some people don't like, but it's on very quick, and he has all the requisite shooting badges, so it's not going to be like tiny like it is on Mo Bamba as far as like the actual, you know, sweet spot. He's just a better off card, in my opinion. He's got an 87 speed with ball and an 86 ball handle. Karl Anthony Towns' one big weakness is that he's not good at handling the ball, and I think Jaren Jackson definitely helps in that regard. Now, depending on how you feel about OG Anunoby, he's a cheap card, he's free. I don't think it's necessarily necessary to get rid of him by any means, but if you were looking to get rid of him, I think a very good card that is not expensive at all would be Hakeem Warwick. Hakeem Warwick is nasty. I've been using this dude all day, and I think he is fantastic. Now, another thing I would say, I mean, Quantum KD and the other KD are essentially the same. You maybe can make 20 or 30k, possibly 50 at the absolute most, by selling Quantum and then buying the out-of-position one. But I don't really think it's that necessary. And I think your team as a whole is great, especially because you're going for JR, so you don't really need any help in that regard. But I think making these two maybe upgrades, not even necessarily OG, like OG or Hakeem Warwick can play the small forward. I like Bruce Bowen a lot, but I know some people do not. Ray Allen is super wet, so it just kind of depends. But I think Jaren Jackson Jr. as opposed to Karl Anthony Towns would be a good idea, like doing something like this, possibly moving Cat to the bench and then running Jaren at the starting lineup, I think would improve your squad a lot, just give you the extra ball handler in the offensive end. But other than that, A-okay. Your squad's fire, man. I'm not even going to hate. Also, you have Julius Randle, who I was under the impression didn't exist. So, hey, it is what it is. To me, he doesn't exist. So, next up, let's see. What's our next squad that we're going to be tackling here? A couple of these suggestions were from a couple days ago. All right. My man, Liam. What up, Liam? How you doing? Emmanuel Quickley. I like Quickley. Quickley's good. Lionel Simmons. Okay, this is a true budget squad. Lionel Simmons is still good, by the way. Sean Elliott, that's my guy. Love Sean Elliott. Obi Toppin. Oh yeah, or use Obi Toppin. I mean, Obi Toppin's super good. I forgot to mention that. Marvin Bagley, Amethyst. Great option. Tyrese Halliburton, the budget god himself. Really is like the best budget squad we got. Malik Sealy. Okay. Bruce Bowen. All right. LaMelo Ball. Interesting choice. Okay. And Maxi Kleber. All right. Solid squad. Super solid budget squad. You use Alvin Gentry. You run pick and pops with Hawks Freelance. You green the most with Quickly, Bruce Bowen, Elliott, and Kleber. You have 70k. All right. Right off the bat, I would say you have 70k, right? I don't think there's too many changes to make. The one thing I would say is Malik Sealy still going for about 20k or so. It wouldn't be a terrible idea to swap him out. He is getting a tad bit outdated. It's not like terrible or anything. He's still more than usable. But if you're not greening with his jump shot on a consistent basis, if you want another guy to try out who I think is really, really good, I would go with Mo Peterson. You can get him for almost nothing. He's not as good defensively, but he's much better offensively, at least in my opinion. So I think he would actually make a very good substitute for Malik Sealy. They're essentially the same price, so you're basically just swapping them at that point. You could even move Lionel Simmons down and move Mo Pete to the starting lineup, give you a little bit more, I don't know, range in the starting lineup. That being said, Kleber, if you do green a lot with Kleber, that's totally fine, though I have to, as I'm going to say a lot, like, going for Jaren Jackson Jr. is key. Like, even if you green a lot with Maxi Kleber, I still think Jaren Jackson Jr. is significantly better of a card. So I would go like this, and I would throw, obviously, Jaren Jackson in the starting lineup, bam, and then I would throw, you could go Bagley or Kleber here. I personally prefer Marvin Bagley because he moves a little bit better in that. So this is probably what I would do personally. This is going to shake your team up. You have a defensive stopper in Bruce Bowen. So LaMelo Ball is one person that I would absolutely get rid of. I don't think he's bad by any means, but like, I'm not even kidding when I say Hakeem Warwick is better. Hakeem Warwick is fire. Like, he's so good. I'm not even joking. Like, that's not me overstating Hakeem Warwick. Like, Hakeem Warwick really is one of the best cards we've seen in a bit. Obviously, if you can get Jared Culver, that'd be cool, but, you know, that's going to be kind of tough. But Warwick is nice. He's not going for that much. He has 29 Hoff badges, 24 golds, 84 shot 3. It could definitely be better. But playing on the interior, he has hot zones on the corners where your Hawks freelance would be most active. 97 driving dunk, 86 ball handle, 94 speed. Like, he only has gold range extender, which is kind of an issue. It's not that big of a deal, though. I think LaMelo has the same. Most importantly, though, he's an absolute defensive stopper. He has pretty much every defensive badge. Hoff, I think he holds down your defensive unit. I get it, LaMelo, having him as a secondary ball handler might be nice. So maybe don't grab Hakeem Warwick as a replacement to LaMelo Ball. Maybe grab him as a prospective replacement. Maybe try him out for a few games, see how he works with your team instead of LaMelo. And then go from there. If you're a huge LaMelo fan, just keep running with LaMelo. It's not really that big of a deal. Other than that, I think you're good. I would just hold out for some more free cards, like free content. Obviously, if you can go get Ron Harper, that'd be a good idea, but it's almost impossible. I still can't get him to show up. Same with Danny Ferry, so I don't hold out much hope for that. If you get the glitch market, there's some guys in there too, but I think for the right now, I would just go focus on getting Jaren Jackson Jr., hold down the fort with the guys that you have. That's my opinion on it. I mean, your team looks great anyway. All right, you got, next up, we got my man Ryder. First off, I like that name. We got Frank, who I still haven't gotten yet because 2K hates me. Jerry Sloan, Bulls legend. Billy Cunningham, okay. Wes, oh yeah, you got my man Wes Unseld, fantastic, and Mel Daniels. All right, so you're a grinder for sure here. I got you. Quickly off the bench, and then we got Clyde. I don't see him too much anymore. He's still a good card though. Then you have OG. Yeah. Why won't they let me just type in OG, dude? Like, you know who I mean. Obi Toppin and Randall. Okay. I mean, you're probably already doing this. So you're no money spent on current gen. You have 1.2 million. Jeez. You're willing to spend on a backup point. Green the most with Mel and OG. You run your entire game through defense and transition buckets. Okay. Fair enough. All right, so you're looking to spend a little bit on a point guard. There's a few good point guards in the mix right now. As far as like what point guard to go for, it just kind of depends what you're looking for, realistically. Like, you like to push the point. I don't know if Darren Williams isn't really a good option for what you do, personally. Chris Webber might be a little too sluggish for what you do as well. Steph and Quickly aren't really that different. Magic would be someone that obviously I would recommend for what you do, but I feel like at this point you'd probably have Magic if you wanted him, but for being under 100K, I think Magic Johnson is an excellent choice. Now, like I said, he does have that little, like, kind of chug that he does, where you have to basically initiate him sprinting by doing a dribble move. But if you like to push the ball in transition like Magic is really, really good, and having that big point guard is key. I don't want to suggest going with someone like Luka because he's too expensive, and I think we're going to get more point guards over the next little bit. Grant Hill, honestly, would be a very good option, and if he does drop in price, I think 300K is a little bit too much for him, but if he does drop in price, or it's something that you're okay and comfortable with paying for, I think Grant Hill would make a lot of sense for your playstyle and overall your team. Him, maybe Magic Johnson. That's kind of who I would look at. I'm sure you already have Jaren Jackson Jr. and you're trying to insert him into the lineup. My suggestion would be move. I don't know, you like OG Anunoby, so I don't know. But maybe Grant Hill, Magic Johnson would be a great option. Honestly, Halliburton's really good for what you're looking for as well. He's a little bit better as a pure shooter, though, so I don't really know if he's necessarily the answer. We don't have a big slashing point guard that would be cost efficient enough to really make sense, you know? I would just go with Magic. If you can get him for cheap enough, I think that he makes a world of difference on your team. And Ron Harper would obviously be pretty good too if you do end up grinding TTO and get Ron Harper. Like, he would be a great option as well. I just don't think there's really too many moves to make on this team right now. Personally, I think either removing OG or Obi, sliding Randall over to the power forward, or if you don't like Randall, abandoning him and then putting Jaren at the bench, I think that helps a lot. But I think that's really the only move that I could recommend making for your playstyle right now. Till we get more free stuff, more content, etc. I just don't think it's worth hemorrhaging a bunch of MT on like Luka or anything like that. But if you can get Magic for around 70K, I think that's actually a pretty good deal. And if you want to spend the MT on Grant Hill, he makes a lot of sense for your team. But 300K is still a lot for a point guard at this stage in the game. We're going to be getting a lot more point guards in the next, I would say, 4 weeks, because they've really let go on small forwards and point guards, so I think that's what we're going to be getting a lot of, personally. Whether those be grindables or, you know, packables, it just kind of depends. But either way, your team's heat, and I don't think there's too many moves that you could really make that would improve it that are necessary right now. I'm not a huge, by the way, I will say I'm not a huge Jerry Sloan guy, but if you like Jerry Sloan, then that's fine. But I said Mo Peterson before, and I think he's a very, very good card, especially for the price that he is going for. I mean, you can get him for like 14K, and I think that's worthwhile to try out. I'm sure you're going for J.R. Smith as well, so you probably already have Mo Peterson, but I think he would actually help your team a little bit as well. So let me know down in the comments if that was helpful. I tried to be, but you have a really good team. It's really hard to give you too much advice. All right, BSPS. That's the next guy we're doing. Emmanuel Quickly. Look at me, look at my lips. Who do I think I am? LL Cool J in the 90s. Bradley Beal. My boy Richard Dumas. You don't see him too much anyway. Like, I think people kind of forgot about him already. Wait, wrong Magic. My bad. Magic at power forward, huh? Interesting. Sabonis. Okay. Yeah, actually, you have a different team, but I like it. Tyrese Halliburton, Budget God, Bruce Bowen. Yep. All right. So you're on the agenda, guys. Okay. Kelly Oubre, yeah. So you probably have Jaren Jackson Jr. or you're going to in a minute. Obi Toppin and Bagley. Okay. Let's see. You have 225K and you just want to rebuild your team. I'm usually green with Tyrese, and I like to run my offense through my point guard. Okay. Cool. You want to rebuild your team. I totally understand. Personally, for me, Dumas plays better at power forward. I don't know how it works for you, but that's one thing I could say. Magic, I would keep him for TTO purposes, but I don't like playing Magic as my primary power forward, especially when I have Dumas. Obviously, you're going to have Jaren Jackson Jr., so I'm guessing you're going to replace, well, probably Sabonis right here with Jaren Jackson. I know I've been telling a lot of people to get Jaren Jackson, but he's like very, very good. So, and then I would probably look into see what Sabonis goes for, because if you can sell him for a decent amount and still run Bagley, that's still an option as well. But I think automatically, like, Jaren Jackson makes your team a little bit better. Now, if you wanted to go, I don't know, it depends how you feel about Magic, like, at the power forward. I've used him a few times at power forward. I don't particularly like him. So, I mean, Obi Toppin plays well enough at small forward that I might even do something like this and run Toppin up here and then Dumas here. And then maybe run Magic off the bench, perhaps. I think that makes a little bit more sense, though that does kind of hurt your ball handling up on the starting lineup. So maybe move Dumas down to the power forward on the bench and then run Magic right here for a little bit more ball handling. I just think Obi Toppin's better than Dumas personally, but it depends how you feel about Paul George base. So you can just switch these around. I'm not going to bother switching them back and forth. I know I've been talking about him a lot, but Hakeem Warwick and honestly, yeah, Mo Pete makes a lot of sense for this team too. Now you might want to get rid of Sabonis, but I don't really know if it's necessary. Like, there's not too many budget big men that are really that good right now. So I just don't know if getting rid of Sabonis is even the way to go at this point. I mean, if you got the tokens, I would say go get Bob Lanier, because Bob Lanier is nasty, but you will have to badge him up. Yeah, I don't really think there's really that many budget big men that would make a lot of sense or help out. I mean, like, depends what you do with Sabonis. Do you use him as a ball handler? That's kind of a key. Because if you use him as a ball handler, that kind of helps me out. Because, I mean, like, I like Vucevic a lot, and he's a great rebounder and spot-up shooter, and that might be what you're looking for. And if you're not, then maybe someone like, I don't know, man. Moses Malone's still good, by the way. I know there's somebody who in my chat who always wants me to talk about Moses Malone. Got you. Yeah, I don't know. I would say right now probably hold fast. Definitely include Jaren Jackson in the mix because he's really good. Don't go buy Chris Bosh. It's not worth it. I promise it's not. But just looking at other possible options, I just don't think any of them are realistically worth it. Like, I think Hakeem Warwick's really good, but I don't know where he plays on your team. Maybe instead of Kelly Oubre, depending on how you feel about Kelly Oubre. Mo Peterson, I mean, you could always use him at small forward as well. And maybe have Obi, Dumas, and Sabonis off the bench. That is also a possibility. And as far as point guards, like, if you want to spend the $40K, Darren Williams is really good. He is a little bit small. We're at the point when running small point guards is kind of tough, but he does have a different jump shot, which I don't like, but at the same time, I've been running a lot of games with him since I picked him up earlier, and I do like the card a lot. But I'm just not sure if he's really worth it, if that makes sense. In addition to Mo Peterson, if you're looking for someone that can run, I mean, he's so expensive, though, but if you're looking for someone who can run the two guard, I would wait to see if, where is this guy? What is his name even? I forgot. He just came out to Billy Owens. Billy Owens is nice. He's a little expensive right now, and he plays better at the small forward. Damian Lillard's release is surprisingly good on a big man. He's 6'8" with a 7'2" wingspan. Like, he's no joke, but I don't know how much better he is than Obi Toppin, so I don't really want to say go buy this guy. It might not be a terrible idea just to get Jaren Jackson, just kind of hold tight on your team. Maybe till this week, see what mystery guys come out, what the next packs come out are. The content drop today was just kind of underwhelming. There's some really good budget guys, but there's nothing to uproot your team about when these guys. Like, I like Hakeem Warwick because he plays excellent defense and stuff, and I like what's his name, Mo Peterson a lot because he's like a sharpshooter. But there's no reason to uproot your entire team. Next up, we got finally William. All right, final team. We got Magic. GO, regular Pantheon, gotcha. Don Bousset. Okay, interesting. At the shooting guard, huh? Okay, I'm guessing you're switching matchups and stuff. PD Paul George. Okay, I definitely got some tips for this squad for sure. Wes Unseld. And Hakeem. Okay. Hakeem's still good. Not even going to tell you to get rid of Hakeem for sure. You're running Tyrese. Okay. Andrew Wiggins. I have a love-hate relationship with Andrew Wiggins for sure. For sure. There's no question. Jameson. Okay. Jameson still works. I mean, especially if you badged him up a little bit. Obi. And PD Benoit. Well, right off the bat, go get Jaren Jackson. Like, I know I keep saying it, but go do it. You run Hawks 2018. You like rim running with Magic and kicking out to the other guys. I used Amethyst, Nate McMillan as coach. You green the most with Halliburton, Paul George, Antoine. You have 10K, would have... Yeah, I got you, man. So you have 10K. Right off the bat, Paul George is going for not a crazy amount, so I don't know if it's really worth selling him. I would check what he's going for. If he's going for right around the same price as Dumas, I would get Dumas, honestly. Like, I'm not even kidding. Dumas would be someone I would look at. If he is either less expensive or around the same price as Paul George, getting Dumas might be very helpful. Mo Peterson obviously works really well too, but if you green a lot with that Paul George base, you're going to want someone with Paul George base coming back in return, so that makes total sense. You also do have Oubre, and I'm guessing you have Bruce Bowen. If you don't have Bruce Bowen, I think Bruce Bowen actually makes a lot of sense for your team. One thing I would suggest to do is this. Like, if you're gonna run the 2 point guards thing, I think it makes infinitely more sense to run Halliburton and then Boucher on the bench, so he's actually playing the point guard position. Halliburton's 6'5", he's big enough to kind of play that 2-guard position, so you're not going to get killed on matchups because of it. If he runs your bench unit, I totally do understand that, but I just think this is going to be overall better for your team in general. In general, I would say. Adding Bruce Bowen to the roster would also help a little bit too, especially if you just need like a 3-and-D guy. I think he would make an excellent glue guy, and it would enable you to sell Wiggins if you wanted to, or move Wiggins over to the small forward and replace Jameson. Just kind of depends how you're feeling about Jameson at this point. I don't think Bruce Bowen is, if he's even worse than Andrew Wiggins, I don't think he's that much worse than Wiggins. Wiggins is better size-wise, and he dunks a little bit harder, but Bruce Bowen plays much better defense. I personally think his jump shot is a little more consistent. Like, you make a lot more whites with Bruce Bowen. So, I think that might be the best way to go about it. That way you don't have to spend a bunch of MT. Like, because you only have 10K MT. I would say look into Dumas and just see. Last I checked, he was going for about 15, 20K. So, you're exchanging Paul George for a player that's much, much, much better, but has the same jump shot. So it's going to be the same timing for you, so you'll be able to green the same amount. And I think Dumas makes a lot of sense for what your team's going for right now. Excellent, like, catch and shoot 3-point shooter. He rebounds really well, add a little bit more defense onto the starting lineup. And then going for Bruce Bowen and Jaren Jackson are going to infinitely help your team as well. I don't think you might even be starting Jaren Jackson over Hakeem. I don't necessarily think you have to. Like, I think Hakeem, Jaren Jackson, like, I don't think Hakeem's better defensively, but Jaren Jackson's probably better offensively, so I guess it just depends what you really want. Obi Toppin's still good. Obviously, he's a monster. But yeah, going for Bruce Bowen, I don't think you need to really upgrade on the point guard position right now. I mean, if you wanted to upgrade from Don Boucher, just depends how you feel about him. I mean, I'm happy because I finally get to suggest my boy. One guy you might want to look at is none other than the Bulls' all-time GOAT himself, Kirk Hinrich, man. Kirk Hinrich's no joke. He has jump shot 22, which is the same release as like Chris Mullin, Jimmy Butler, Rex Chapman. Yeah. Bob Sura, guys like that. He has that release on very quick, which is really, really good. He plays good defense. He's a great shooter. He doesn't have flexible, so you are going to need to add that to him, but you can get away with not using it. But I think he actually fits your play style a little bit better than Boucher does. And you can pick up Kirk Hinrich for like 3K. Kirk Hinrich is better than Boucher. I don't care what anyone says. Get Kirk Hinrich. So anyways, guys, I hope that helped you out. Like, I really do. Comment down below and let me know what you think of my suggestions, please. And also, thank you for being very nice and asking to be on the list. So anyways, it has been your boy Cheap Ludes. Sorry it took so long to get the squad tip series out. I actually recorded it once, and it was like 36 minutes long, and then the file got corrupted, so I lost the entire thing. And I'll be honest, after that, my spirit was broken. I didn't want to do it again after that. So I apologize it took some time, but I wanted to get it out tonight. Check my description for all my stuff. I will be back with more content tomorrow. I'm going to drop some more videos, and I think I'm going to live stream tomorrow night, which is going to be cool. So if you guys want to come hang out, play some TTO or whatever, that's tight. I got a new episode of my podcast out. If you guys haven't listened to it, you don't have to. It's fine. I just have to plug it at the end of every video. It's cool. But I will be back tomorrow, so peace.